hold on. Let me record this first. Yeah. Okay. So, so the question is,
Mm,
Maestro, um, is that for me, who's trained in Western classical music, like counterpoint, like two competing voice and
mm,
four competing voice. This is kind of like my second nature. So from my perspective, what you do, what you guys do, like getting in between the notes and having a drone for the whole evening of musical offering, that is like mind blowing. Having just
mm,
like one drone, one tone, like everything based on that, and
uh,
the infinite possibilities of the
mm,
raga and the significance of the rhythmic
mm,
practice. Those were the kind of mind blowing part for me.
mm, mm.
So I'm just curious, like, is like how do you guys see the Western practice where we are very harmonically, like vertically oriented? Is sort of
Mm.
like, we've explored this dimension
Mm.
slightly more in our repertoire.
Okay, so like the same way as you are mesmerized by our stuff, the same way we get mesmerized by seeing all these counterpoints and everything, the way you do it, you know.
Oh.
For us, since we start training from one, one drone, one scale, we say, and we go to back to the same point where we start, which is called the sa. We fix that do and we move on. Is the same thing for us when we listen to this. We hear so many different sa or the do. For us, it's
Oh.
very confusing in the beginning, but the same thing for great composers, like the classic composers or whatever you say. When we hear it, we get a picture. I think that's what we love.
Oh.
The picture that music is painting, finally that's how we listen to, at least I try to listen to. That's what sort of a painting or what sort of a picture I'm getting out of the composition. And then finally, movements, since we develop small sectors and develop that sector into a big thing, we try picking up the sectors which we like. Huh? And then in that picking up, we try learning from that sector and try to locate where the original scale is. And then I get the whole academically the picture. But good music is whenever you see the picture or painted on your brain, I think I'm good.
Wow.
Even the same thing with our music, but in our music, it comes very easily straight to me, interpreted because I'm used to that language. But it's understandable.
So when you hear, let's say, a slow moving something that's very kind of something like um, and
Yeah.
something like that.
Uh,
So obviously, I mean, this is Mozart, so this is very very relatively recent
yeah.
because it goes back to
Uh,
congregational singing, like the
yeah.
church and all the motets. The horizontal lines. There was one point. There was like 140 of them that were all
Wow.
moving at
Wow.
different
Yeah.
speed and different ways.
Yeah. You
So
try to let five or six classical musicians sit. They will start arguing about what the rag will be.
ah.
It's there's a lack of harmony right from beginning.
I get the pun. So for you, when you listen to Western harmony, when there's like four notes,
Mm,
and stacked up together, or even
mm,
three. I mean, four would give it an
mm,
extra layer of subtle colors and
mm.
all of that. Do you feel like you can stay with it in a different way? Do you feel like emotionally, it kind of what is that difference that gives you that picture that you're so you described earlier? Like, where do you think in your body that gives you that that harmony, give you that passport to take off with the picture?
Oh, wow. That's an amazing question actually. So you see, when there's in the bass, if you play the minor chords or something, it gives you a very sadness and emptiness or a dark part. I don't know. I'm calling it dark because it's generally people, that's what they call it, right? So that movement, that's little that comes in. And but when you play a very major chords, it's like we feel very happy about it, right? It's like peaceful. And accordingly, I would say the same way, when the rasa theory of ragas have, we have the rasa theories of raga, right? The rasa is the mood, the emotional part. We call there are 9 emotions. And ragas have their different emotions characteristic to that raga, right? So there is,
That's horizontally you
yeah,
express it. You would express it in the horizontal um,
right.
way.
Right. And you will be very, very amazed to hear that, many of the very happy, happy ragas are very major chord oriented. And, as soon as you get into the minors and the complicated ones, it becomes darker. It's sadness, it's romanticism, but sadness, or, a devotional sadness. It's there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, can I share with you that moment that kind of hooked me with harmony? I Because I study music from
Mm,
so young, I really did not. It
right.
was kind of my duty, I didn't
Mhm,
question anything.
mhm.
But I think the moment that I actually fell in love, I feel like, wow, I think my fate is sealed. Is actually this moment from Beethoven,
Oh,
and I was
please.
maybe 9 or 10 years old. So it's from Piano Sonata number 3 in C major. So it begins like this, and and it
Uh-huh.
goes from, so something like that. And but in the
Yeah.
that so when the first part is over and you turn the page, all of a sudden it
Uh,
became something like this.
uh, mm.
And then it goes on and on and on.
Oh.
So this
It's like
progression.
a, yeah, please.
Yeah, and so this progression, it's just like, and since you're,
Oh.
so it's this
So I,
section is,
I have a question for you. Can I ask?
of course.
So you played this beautiful piece so beautifully, and do you think what changes the emotion? Is it the notes, or is it the pause?
I think it's the I think it's the way that the notes are stacked together. Um,
So the pauses and the silence between the notes, everything, that whole structure creates an emotion, right?
yeah, that's the flow of it. The flow of it is musical interpretation. It's kind of like my take on how to play this. And there are gonna be
Beautiful.
pianists who play it very square also.
Mm,
So I
mm,
play with a bit of a romantic flair,
mm, mm.
and to emphasize this particular progression. So I think what's going on here first is we have a good old G minor chord, and I think it could have gone to like something like that, but that's not what he went. It's almost like
Ah,
Oh, so I'm contemplating something, but I have a surprise. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, right,
it could be
right.
something else. And then it could have gone there, right? But that's
Yeah.
not where he goes. So it's like,
Uh-huh. So yes, this element of surprise, we were also taught how to give the element of surprise as a stagecraft. So you know what, you create the story. We are like storytellers on stage, right? So you create a story. You know, the story is maybe of love, and this raga represents love, so we pick it up. And in raga there could be angry moment, there could be sad moments, because it's a story, it's a romantic story going on,
and that's
right? So when
predetermined. Is that predetermined? Like there are ragas that are designed to
that convey some certain emotions, yes, yes, some of the ragas are, and yet you can also change it and prove it otherwise, depending on
oh
your, it's very open that way, very
ah
integrated.
love it love
Okay.
it
Yeah.
yeah.
So then, but there are some ragas like Marwa or like Tori. You know, these are very sad ragas or very different dark ragas in a way. So it cannot be changed. But other ragas there are, that can be changed in many ways. You know.
Oh
So
wow, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's how. And then there is certain movements that you establish that movement, and then when the audience is almost expecting the repeat of that movement, give them something else that's
hmm
unexpected, you
that
know.
yeah,
and
that
that's
newness.
and that's why Mozart and Beethoven, I listen a lot, because that's very the same type of creativity that we go through,
Mm.
you know, like
So same chord.
ta 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 ta, Mozart, right? The ta
Mm-hmm.
ta that was very unexpected, right? So then there's a line that comes on, so when this comes, and maybe as a composer he loved it, he's bringing it back again and again throughout the composition, and at very unexpected moments from different points and counterpoints, right? So when I'm hearing this is the same thing I do in jor, in the jor development of the raga. So I try to test water, give audience and see a reaction how they're giving, and if they like it, I bring it back again and again.
Oh wow. So, wow, it's a sort of a process of renew. See, what I see is that because harmony, there are actually fewer chords that sound beautiful. Fewer. The fewer that are pure and, beautiful.
Mm.
So, most of the chords when they're well, it kind of depends on the context. And so in a chord could sound absolutely like this chord, like this this chord is not that special. It's just
Mm.
a dominant seventh chord with a misplaced note at the bottom.
Mm.
So the most dissonant note is at the bottom. So it kind
Mm.
of aches a little in the emotion, like in the body. It gives you a bit of a poke, and then the voicing is here. So it you hear this even more. And then Beethoven had the good intuition of actually showing you that. So instead of saying, he goes,
Yeah, we also use the same thing. We also
yeah.
use the same thing.
And so, but the same chord, all these harmonic language, right?
Yeah.
They're not nearly as plentiful as the melodic varieties. Harmonies, there isn't that much variety, but every time a chord appears somewhere,
Mm.
that chord and its behavior gets renewed.
Right.
renewed in the context of the story, like
Right.
what you were describing
Yeah.
before. And anyway, so what I enjoy learning is just, when non-Western classical music trained musician, when they think what we do is like really special, like making up these
Yeah.
vertical world of chords and then resolve
Yeah.
them, somehow create this
Right.
tension in the chord and then
Mm-hmm.
resolve them and then
Mm.
take you through this sort of an emotional journey this way is like a second nature to me. Like I
Mm.
don't even think twice about it. Like
Mm.
this is how I want to stay with, and like so certain harmonies, like I would design them to
Mm.
stay a little bit longer and create the suspense. I want to bring you to that brink of not being able to tolerate this much dissonance anymore, and then I resolve it for you like
Mm.
13 minutes later, and then you get your answer. I could do that. I could do that.
Mm.
I could plan it this way. But for and so yeah, so I'm just intrigued of, musicians who aren't trained this way, but then they're listening in like you,
Mhm.
who are master of, Indian
Yeah.
classical canon. And so the canon meaning like,
Yeah. Yeah.
your heritage. And so like, do you think this is something, do you see it as something that's kind of mysterious? And is this something that you think you could do, or if you do it with your heritage, it just wouldn't quite click in with
Yeah. Yeah.
your
Yeah. It
heritage?
wouldn't fit in fully. So what I do, I apply these things
Hmm.
in a, as much as my um, mm, thought process in my art boundary can permit. Sometimes I even push it a little bit. That's how the boundaries are broken and finally it will mingle. I don't know whether it will be great or not for the world, but that's how music will always be dynamic. It moves on, right? And that's why we don't teach raga as only like a set of ascending descending amount of notes and this pattern, and it can be, there are many gray areas. Like in a human life, there's not everything is black and white, right? So these gray areas are the very important areas in your life. So those gray areas, to dwell in those gray areas of the raga, to bring out that personality which no one has seen. Or else this raga has been played so many times by so many people, each in a different way.
Oh,
So
I could say the
ultimately,
same about harmony. I'm saying the same about harmony. I mean,
so
who
that's the thing.
who hasn't heard a dominant seventh chord in, third inversion? Like, who hasn't heard
Yeah,
that? Everybody's heard that.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
in this case, it was like my first love
That's the part.
to
That's the part.
to harmony,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
power of that. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's what it
Mm.
is all about, to find something that out of the same thing, we have our limited thing. Because there are only 12 notes. How we cannot create anything more than that. So, out of that, we each time will come with a little bit of surprise, each thing. So that's what I think we are all searching for. And music trend, I think, also change like the fashion world. It changes every 10 years, the general taste of the mass.
Oh,
So we musicians also need to push a little bit of boundary to bring in some Western spices for us or Eastern spices for you, so that it can blend up, right? It's like, yeah, it's the same like the journey of the Silk Route. How many ideas have been exchanged, can we even imagine, through the Silk Route, the
I
music of
can't
the Silk
imagine.
Route.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instruments.
So you can imagine the Greco-Roman musicians coming here and then mingling with the Turkish musicians. They're taking each other's stuff, and Indian travelers come in, they take each other's stuff. And so how it traveled maybe. And finally, if we go plow the route back, there will be something where it's started, some common ground from where it started, I believe. And then they took their own roads in a way.
Mhm.
Didn't it start with cavemen after their hunting, they're yelling in wild ecstasy of killing her? That's how music or rhythm started. That's how it started.
Very possible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's
possible.
yeah. Suddenly, and then they found maybe a bone, a bone in a hole, and then it fell. That became the flute or something, or pee pee sound. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah. Anyway. Wow. It's
And yeah, I would love to watch ever, if possible, the journey of this whole music, how it had been.
mm,
Right, it will be amazing to see that even.
yeah, which makes composition you know, the idea of composition in the Western classical music, this idea becomes the composer is that we need the visual because
Mm,
of the vertical. Because sometimes it's very difficult if you don't write it down
mm,
vertically to spell it correctly. Then a chord is not really because a chord, you stack a bunch of notes when they're just these notes, right? For example, like this is the
mm,
chord, but if I spell it differently, for example, if I do something like it's the same chord, but
mm.
this has a different emotional tone. And
Yeah.
if I do so same chord, and if I do this, and then
Mm.
this is the same chord, and
Oh, it sounds very different. Because it's bringing a different mood. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I can also do this. Same chord. But now it's a lot more stern. It feels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is the same chord.
Right.
Yeah. And I
Right.
can also stack it together differently. I can do like. And this is not a good voicing. And this is not good voicing, but and once the doubling comes in, then there are certain notes that could be highlighted in a different way.
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
yeah.
But also, when you play this chord, immediately one raga picture comes to my mind.
Oh,
With the different, yeah, what you immediately da da na da, that chord, that na da, 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 na, da, da, na, na, da, ni, da, da,
oh,
da, da, na.
oh,
So that
Peak,
gives you a
you're taking my
very different.
heart out.
No, is it? That's a very different thing comes out. So this raga comes in. So it's amazing to see, if you give on chords, maybe some different raga will come in, and that's the basic nature of that raga.
Hey, the only thing that's different is that this was the bass.
And the other one was higher octave. Yeah, yeah, that brought the somber mood. Uh, uh, very, very. If you said, so this is our side. It will be this one will be our main note. Ta ta. So da 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 da. Da 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 da. From that part is the Dorian scale. Da. So da da da. Yeah. So that's Bhageshi.
Oh, nah, that's not.
Hmm.
That's a little too green.
Yeah, so that's Bhageshi.
Yeah. Ah. So yeah, the only thing that's different is this.
Yeah, that's
Is that the
amazing. Yeah.
bass as opposed to this. That's the difference.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow, that's nice. Beautiful.
Ah, it's got
Hmm.
other
Huh.
harmony.
Yeah,
Harmony. Yeah.
harmony is amazing. It's amazing. It mesmerizes me. The whole thing, and then reading the music. These
Mm.
are the two amazing things. We cannot do that. I cannot do that. It's difficult.
Mm.
Means I can do that with Indian notation,
Mm.
but not that fast. Like people here, they read notation like they're reading newspaper. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I just did this thing with this violinist, Paul Huang, and
Hmm.
we were just reading through it like a jam
Ah,
session. Except when we jam,
hmm,
we're both reading the same document for the first
hmm.
time. So just whatever happens,
Ah, ah,
mistakes and everything.
hmm.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your
Thank you so much.
time. This is so much
Anytime.
fun.
Anytime.
And let me stop the recording for now and then